Today I will be talking about my types of bands, which basically means I will talk about my favorite bands. And today I will be covering on the misconceptions of the bands and their genre. And I will be clarifying those stereotypes and misinterpretations. I will start off by naming the bands, which there will be three bands that I will be talking about and mainly pointing out. And the first band that I will be introducing is Black Veil Brides. They are my favorite band, and they're the less heavy ones in this out of these three bands that This second band is named Falling in Reverse. They have a genre between rap, metal, rock, and like alternative. They have different type of styles, which you can see throughout their albums, and it's pretty interesting how they have incorporated those other genres into their music. Back in 2013, Black Veil Brides actually used to wear makeup just like Motionless in White, except that they would look more like Kiss, and then people would be like, "Oh, they're copying Kiss," but they really weren't. They were actually inspired by Kiss, so they kind of did look similar, but it wasn't just like a rip off of Kiss. Then the lead singer of Black Veil Brides went for Andy Six because his name is Andrew and he's just shortened it by Andy. And Six because he liked Molly Crew as well. And then people were like, "Oh, he's copying Nikki Six." So he also had to change it even though he was inspired by it. And they were so by those things you can see that Black Veil Brides was brought down by other people because they were being accused of copying other bands that they were inspired by, which they were friends with the band members, and the band members of those other bands never told them anything. So I believe that they were actually not ripping off other bands or anything else. So after that, they slowly stopped wearing makeup, like less and less, until they no longer wear makeup, which is the stage that they are now, and last year when they stopped wearing makeup. And you can see in this picture how drastically they have changed, because in this picture they have tons of makeup, and that was just a stage. Now, Falling in Reverse, they really never wore makeup other than probably foundation and eyeliner and like the basic rock and roll makeup, but nothing heavy like Motionless in White and Black Veil Brides do. So they're like the more neutral ones out of these two bands that I listen to in these genres. Falling in Reverse, I mean, they still wear eyeliner, but not very often as they used to, or not as heavy. Like sometimes they don't do it, and if they want to, they will do it. Like they do it on random occasions when they want to do it. So now it's not like a thing that they do every time they go on stage. But back then they did used to do it. Last but not least, Motionless in White. They do wear makeup. They wear more makeup than all of the other bands. And they're the bands that, out of these three, that still remain to use makeup up to this day. But they have changed their makeup styles and the way they the way they wear makeup in their performances to entertain. You can see the different types of makeup they have gone through based on the lead singer, Chris Motionless, because the drummer, they've had two drummers, and no, they actually have had three drummers, and so you can really can't tell the difference because it's different people, and the other band members, they've actually were like almost similar as. And a lot of people say that they're like, "Oh yeah, they're gay," or they call them like nicknames and stuff like horrible things because they're like, "Oh yeah, they wear makeup, girls wear makeup," but they're actually expressing, and they try to like not be in the boundaries. They're not trying to fit society, and that's what I love. People also believe that they're like Satanists, or like they don't believe in religion and stuff like that. I mean, some of them are not into religion from the rock and metal industry, but some of them, there's actually Christian bands, so that stereotype is actually. And then they say, "Oh yeah, they say bad words, they say bad words," but rap songs also say bad words, and they have also bad influence in them, and most of the rock and metal industry songs don't really have negative lyrics. It's just they scream and a lot of people don't understand it. So all the people, all they hear is like screaming. Sometimes Black Rebels doesn't really scream either, but they still think it's like Satanist, and like they talk about demons. But that's not true. Like if they actually looked into the lyrics, they would realize that they actually have deep meanings to them and not negative.
Created using Powtoon.
So all the people, all they hear is like screaming. Sometimes most Black Panther doesn't really scream either, but they still think it's like Satanists, and like they talk about demons. But that's not true. Like if they actually looked into the lyrics, they would realize that they actually have deep meanings to them and not negative. Also, people can hear a band like let's say Cannibal Corpse. They do talk about bad stuff, and I'm not trying to put them out there like if they're a bad band, but they just take those bands into consideration to compare them to Black Veil Brides, Falling Embers, and Motionless in Westwood. They're a completely different genre, and they're way different. Or other bands that say, oh, like F religion, F this, F that. Like not don't let a one band specifically ruin the whole genre for you, or like the whole band scene thing towards your liking. Just because one band says something bad doesn't mean. And then when we're teenagers and we hear this music, they're like, oh, it's a phase, it's a scene. I mean, some people do go through that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. But I think personally, I don't. Like, I've been listening to it since I was little. I grew up with it and I still like it. And I think I will continue to like it my whole life because it's just my favorite music and genre. So, yeah. And those are the miscommunications that people have between Falling in Rivers, Motionless in White, and Black Veil Brides. And hopefully, I was able to clarify this. And maybe people will start liking this genre and see and start noticing the deep meanings of the song.
Created using Powtoon.